This book is so obscene, almost like pornographic, right?
Hi, welcome to Life Jenerally, hosted by me, Jen Lofstrom.
And me, Jen Tran.
We are Jen Squared, and this podcast is about life as a Jen!
Yay! Hey Jen, how's it going?
It's going. How about yourself?
It's going okay. I was just kind of prepping what to do for this, this episode, but I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I am too. I'm really excited to have a second book talk episode.
Yes.
I am really excited about that. And, it's we've chosen another dystopian sci-fi favorite that is oftentimes banned on the banned book list because of the relevance in a lot of things right now. So the book that Jen and I have chosen and read and dove into is A Brave New World, which is by Aldous Huxley. And the book was actually written in 1932, which is crazy to think about.
I can't believe
that's almost 100 years ago.
2032 is going to be around the corner. And it's like,
I know.
This book is almost 100 years old. Like you said, I'm just kind of like, what?
Yeah. It's closer to 100 years old than it is to actually when it came out. So that's the timeline there.
It is crazy.
Yeah. But I think the thing that the reason why it was on my radar, and I think why it's been on other people's radars, is because there's so many themes in this book that are really interesting to dive into. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to see what you thought about it and what you think. Do you have a summary of the book that you want to talk about?
Yeah. Let me give you besties a quick summary about this book. Okay.
And besties, you could check out this book anywhere.
It's available
online. It's a book, recorded book. So it is another easily obtained book if you're interested in reading along.
Yeah, it's a recorded book. It's available in the libraries. Please go to your libraries and get your books, or you could go purchase it, or even do an Audible, or even Spotify has it on their, if you're on their premium plan as well.
Yeah.
So it's
exactly
highly available.
Spoiler alert to our besties. We will be talking and discussing a book named Brave New World. It does have some very adult subject matter and triggering subjects such as sex and
child pornography-ish.
Child pornography and race.
Suicide.
So if these are anything that you do not want to listen to around your family, then please skip this and come back another time. We'll be having another podcast that won't be so heavy next week.
Yes. But for those who want to join the book club for Brave New World, continue listening on. So here's my summary. In a distant future, the world state controls society by mass production humans in hatcheries and conditions them to be rigid social castes. The book starts off in London, England, in a hatchery where people are grown, not born anymore. By inspection, they are already making classes of people, being like alpha, beta, gamma, and so on. Citizens are kept happy and compliant, and through casual sex, entertainment, and mood-altering drugs called Soma, you are introduced to this couple who is kind of dating on and off, on again. I don't know. Bernard Max and Leanna Crown, who go on holiday to the Americas, New Mexico to be precise, where they meet Linda and her son, John the Savage, on a reservation. Bessie's a side note. In the book, I do not think our author understands the difference between Native Americans and Mexican people, because he basically made a hybrid of the two. He grouped the two together. You could see it because he mixes the foods together, and I'm just like, no. We need to respect food diversity about this. Anyways, Linda, the mom at the reservation, mentions that she was from their country, London, England, and was stuck at the reservation because she was pregnant, where she gave birth to her son, John. Bernard and Leanna decide to take them back to London, where Linda ultimately dies in the hospital, and John discovers more books, and he's reading the classics like Shakespeare. Natural human emotion clashes violence with how pleasure-driven world state back in London. John finds out the truth about why other academic studies are not permitted to be studied further through Mustafa Mod, the resident world controller, which then John was not able to reconcile his values and the society around him, which then John ultimately chooses isolation in a zoo and unalives himself at the end.
It's so, just to hear that, if someone told you that right out the gate, you'd be like, that's not a book that was written in 1932.
Yeah.
It sounds, definitely there's some racial diversity kind of homogenization that's not appropriate, but it is interesting to see like the caste system in this broken down, because I didn't fully understand that system before I read the book. I think I've learned things about it, but I didn't
understand why.
I didn't understand it. And I do feel like as a society right now, like we do follow a lot of caste systems. We do have like a,
but I think we have a social economical systems that lead into these caste systems, but the India's caste system, like you're born into it. But at the same time, when you're thinking about it, like what's the difference between like people who are kings, and peasants, that's already a caste system already because you're already born into this, which is highly unfair. Like how do you better or mobilize the people up? And it's kind of just like, I'm going to deal with what I'm dealt with. It's so unfair, but that's probably because we live in the modern world. Upward mobility is more attainable, but not right now. It does not seem like it's attainable, but typically it is attainable.
And I still feel like there is so much nepotism and so much within, just rich families and different giant media families that we know about right now and stuff like that, where there is a lot of you're born into a thing and then that becomes part of your job and you already have the wealth. And
so the interesting thing I wanted to mention about that, like the nepotism of this, it's like people poo-poo people, particularly child actors or like families who are entertainers, right? It's like I didn't know Drew Barrymore's family was in the industry. Like they are a dynasty, right? Versus how about all those like doctors, medical, professions where their families are a dynasty of medical professionals. It's the same
that is
type
very
of,
true.
But people don't poo-poo on that. It's like I don't think that if they didn't have that acquired wealth or whatever it is, that knowledge, that they would have arrived to becoming third generation doctor, dentist, whatever. It's kind of unfortunate in a sense, like, there probably is a talented person that didn't get that opportunity to be able to be that doctor because of their economical social class or whatever. So it's kind of unfortunate about that. But back to the book, like the caste system, they're already casting people in the little incubation or the hatchery centers, and it sounded like they're in tubs, like bathtubs of embryos. It's like
it kind of reminds me of like that Lady Gaga video where they're all like in those pods that look like bike cases or something. I don't know. That's what I envision, these like alien kind of pods of embryos.
I was envisioning
so
like
futuristic
fish tanks, right? Where like you have baby fish tanks and there's like thousands of these fish tanks. It's like different types of tanks with different colors. For like, this is how I'm seeing this. I don't
You
know.
are so in depth. I'm just like Lady Gaga. Let's you're like you've got all of these amazing descriptions that would be really cool to see in a movie, Jen. That sounds interesting. Like an interesting yeah, but the hatcheries are kind of it's not totally out of it, like out there kind of concept, but it feels so foreign. But
Yeah.
I do know, like, I think the part that is kind of that really catches me off guard, what you were talking about, was that people, while they're in the embryo state, before they've become born or anything like that, they're chose where they lie in society. That is already,
Yeah, the
and they develop
controller or
them,
whatever, the
right?
hatchery person chooses
Who's going to be an alpha and
Yeah.
who's going to be in charge of things and who's going to be a beta that's not going to do things. And
Yeah.
you know, and the interesting thing is no women are alphas.
Yeah.
There are no female leaders, that means.
Yeah, like it looked like when there was a scene where the nurse was like talking about, I don't know, the hatchery stuff, and it just sounds like she's a nurse, she's not a doctor, and she's just kind of like looking like, you know, embryos swimming in their tanks.
I know. It's so natural to them. They're just like, oh yeah, this is how we have children. Like it's not even, it doesn't seem clinical to them, even though it totally is,
Yeah.
because it's because sex is supposed to be something that they like kind of numb themselves with. It's, you know, it's supposed to be casual. You're not supposed to stay with one person more than a certain amount of time, like a few months or something like that. Like
polyamory, or
right.
open, you know, love is high in this society. Like which is kind of like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess if there's no family structure there, that's abolished. Religion is abolished, you know, like all these
right. The children
things
are born in the hatcheries and then they're raised up. They're
Yeah.
not even like in the family system at all.
It's kind of like, I guess divorce is not a problem because there's no such thing as marriage, you know, like there's no
commitment's not there.
Yeah, and like there's no broken children, you know what I mean? Like children don't need to go to see therapy because they're all coming out of the same factory, like of the hatcheries.
Which is true, right? Like, so they have perfect conditions and perfect like emotional settings for their well-being and everything else like that. But then it's not, is it authentic? That really how those kids were supposed to become people. You know what I mean? Like, are they developed? I don't know. I feel like it's like when you can choose the sex of a baby or something in advance, you know, those kind of things. I feel like, I don't know if that messes with the nature side of nature versus nurture. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think like in a sense, like, okay, today society, to raise a child, it's half the environment and half nature, right? And we don't know necessarily how we come out until we start doing these retrospective of how we are.
Right.
Like I'm pretty sure we are all formed out personalities, but we're just doing these discoveries. And I want to note that in this world, they expect 6-year-olds to be adults. Okay. That was crazy.
I know. I just was like, here's the thing. I think 18-year-olds and 21-year-olds are still developing so much nowadays. To think that a kid at 6 is supposed to be like fully developed.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to me, but I also wonder what that means in that society too. You know what I mean? Like,
but I think
they're just supposed to like live in that adult world and that's it. You know?
But I think it's like they are, because of the Industrial Revolution, and they're putting kids into work, very, very young kids. A 6-year-old being an adult is working age. Cognitively, they are not, you know, they don't have an understanding. And do you remember the scene of like where this world was like very pedo-ish? Like there was a moment when I questioned the author, but like there was like where the children played, it was kind of like flirting, and they're like kids under 10, like kind of like underage sex. It was very pedo-ish to me, and I was like,
I was uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable with that concept. I was like, no, I don't really think that's like, that really was a
that
hot
was
button
very
for me. I
hard
was
for
like,
me to
whoa.
get through. Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
moment where I'm like, why am I reading this?
I know. I was like considered skipping it. I was like, wow, I don't know about what to do about this. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think that like it does that adult nature going all the way to sexuality when they're that young
Yeah.
is obscene to me. And but then I also think about things like when John Bonet Ramsey passed away, and people said she was
Sexualized.
sexualized because
Yeah.
she was like a pageant
Queen.
model.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and the truth is like I don't I was in beauty pageants when I was little,
Oh, I
so
did not know that.
I'm Little Miss San Fernando Valley.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it was like an 80 something, but yeah. So I we were around a lot of beauty pageant stuff before it became like a huge thing that like I don't know, it was kind of this it was the 80s 70s vibe of it
Right.
where beauty is what it was number one. And so it was so competitive, my mom said, and this was a small pageant, nothing crazy. And my brother actually got Little Mister and I got Little
I
Miss,
cannot believe that there are
and
pageants like this.
people got pissed. They thought
Uh-huh.
my mom had paid off the judges or something because he got like the best boy overall and I got the
Uh-huh.
best girl for my age group. So
Okay.
like my mom ended up saying we're not doing this anymore because the moms were so nuts. But like it's like so to me when I think about this and I'm thinking about them being adults and stuff, like I think the same people that say like, oh, well, a kid in a pageant who's wearing something that looks like she's got makeup on, then that means that people assume she's sexual. That's like
Yeah.
not okay at all. I feel like that's kind of side of things is like more like they're trying to play dress up and like dolls and stuff. So this concept in the book was very weird to me. And I just felt like there's a lot of sexual nature in this book that was kind of all over the place and really tested me because I was just like, I try to be like open-minded, like,
Open-minded, yeah.
right? Like, I'm like, okay, polyamory, no big deal. That's cool. Like, whatever works for people, if it's healthy and that's what they want to be, that's okay. But then when it comes into like the pedo kind of stuff, that
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even want to go there. Um,
Yeah.
so I just feel like it just kind of grossed me out a little bit with that side of things.
Yeah.
I think that you can have like kids that are mature and they could raise them to be more mature in that timeline, but I'd rather the sex stuff to be left out,
Yeah.
honestly.
That scene totally clutched my pearls right there.
I know, I was just like weirded out. But and that they had that undergoing theme song, the
Oh,
orgy porgy.
oh god. The orgy porgy song. I'm just kind of like, what is this?
I I was like, am I supposed to like really appreciate this song? It's like literally talking about kids having
Sex.
sex. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't know, it's like,
It is like the
no,
Lady Gaga's hit that they kept on repeating over and over again. Like I was just kind of like,
yeah, it was. And I
what?
feel like besties, I'm sorry. This thing is very heavy in adult content and inappropriate some sexual ideas. So just so you know that we are aware that it is shocking, and that's probably why it's a banned book and has
In
gone
high
through.
school, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there are a lot of other subjects that it's touching on. And then if you think about it, right now there is a lot of things in the news with, unfortunately, with like sex trafficking of
Yeah.
children and Epstein Island and all that kind of stuff, and some of this stuff sounds very similar to what we've seen in some of the files. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the crazy thing because this book was written in 1932 or released in 32.
Yeah.
And then there were still like people sexualizing children and people trying to like have, I don't know, hatchery kind of situations. And so like that is really,
It's
I just can't
crazy.
believe
Yeah.
it's still a thing. When I read this the first time and it wasn't right now, I'd be like, this book is bizarre and I'm not like, I'd be totally warped by it.
Yeah.
and I'm not, because some of it feels like, oh, this stuff is really happening, and that's gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another theme that I noticed was that independent thought is not allowed in this
Oh no.
society. Like, it's
Right.
100% compliancy, which I was kind of like, okay, I guess there's no rebels, you know? And the drug Soma, it's like the government is purposely sedating the population just to control them. Like, you can't have these really intense emotions. I feel bad for these people because they will never have intense happiness, intense sadness, you know,
It's
intense
all kind of
anger.
even
Yeah,
keel.
it's even
Yeah.
keeled.
Yeah.
It's just like, how do you live life without those hurdles? Like, it's just so, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure there are some besties who can regulate their emotions and be very fine with like a very, you know, straight little bit movement of their emotional regulations. But to me, I do need that intensity of this euphoria of when I'm happy because, or like that feeling of I have achieved something, you know? It's like
Yeah.
that intensity, like, of all the payoff, it feels so good. Or like when you lost a loved one and it's like, and you feel so heartbroken and stuff like that. I need that part, because these are the things that even when you're on your deathbed, those emotions can stay with you, you know, very, very intensely until you pass on. And wherever you go to heaven, hopefully you'll have these memories. If you go to hell, same thing, or whatever you believe, besties, and whatever the
Right.
afterlife is. But I think like Soma sucks. Like I would not be happy with the society to just have
It
Soma.
I think, like, for me, I don't know if you've ever read Soylent Green or seen the
Oh
movie, like,
yeah, I
which
seen the
was,
movie.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like, did you see like the 70s, 60s,
yeah, yeah,
70s?
yeah, yeah.
Oh man, they should make a remake of that movie, because it's all crazy. But Soylent Green
Uh
is
huh.
something that they're feeding to the people,
Yeah.
right? And there's always advertising, and the government's providing it. And not to give everything away, but I'm going to give it away. So,
It's
but Soylent
people.
Green is people. Yeah, it's made of people. And so they're cannibalizing themselves. But the government is saying this is the best thing for you, and these are the things, and it's very marketed. And that's the way I feel. Soma kind of reminds me of like this government control.
Yeah,
And it's interesting because when you think about things like prescription medicine and big pharma,
yeah.
there are some things where you're like, I don't know, like the way like Oxycontin like got into like a bunch of things, and
Everything. Yeah.
became and it destroyed towns because it was basically like crazy drugs but prescription. And I think that kind of reminds me of what Soma is in my head. Like, I
Uh
don't
huh.
obviously the author wrote this before we knew about these highly addictive opioids, but I think that's the way I think of it. It's like, it's just kind of like, it's something that's just supposed to keep you strung out, actually, right? Because you're not
Yeah.
supposed to have any highs or any lows, so you're just supposed to be right in the middle, like comfortably
Content.
numb.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as safe as that sounds, quote unquote,
Uh huh.
that's actually really scary. That's just, it's just so, I don't know, it takes away like what life is about, right? Like, you need
Right.
to have the bitter with the sweet,
Yeah.
so you can understand like and appreciate things. I don't think that this society in the book has an appreciation for things. When they talk about visiting New Mexico and visiting the reservation and
Uh huh.
visiting a savage, quote unquote,
That
like
was,
it
I
is
was just like
it
the
is like going
savage.
on it was like going on a safari. Like the way you
Yeah.
hear people like going to Africa and going on a safari and seeing the animals, that's what that interaction was for the characters when they went to New Mexico. It was like
Just desert
so,
land and the people. And I'm just like, what? It's,
and
it was so weird.
it is very weird. And I think that, like, in the person that she goes with, the main character who she goes with,
Bernard.
he
Yeah.
he he seems to not fully buy into all of the like society things. Like he's kind of a little bit of, he doubts some things, and so she kind of gets a little weirded out by him sometimes because he's not like totally the mold
Yeah.
of what the other men that she's dated and everything
Yeah.
like that. He questions like, why do people go visit people in their natural
Habitat.
reservation?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like he questions kind of these like, social things that people are accepting. He is questioning them, not like screaming and not causing a ruckus, but enough where you're not supposed to step out of line. You're not supposed to question those things. That's just the way it's supposed to be. That's the way the controller set it up,
Yeah, but I think Bernard, in a sense, like there was a piece of me that I thought he was a little bit depressed, right? And because
for sure. Yeah.
Leanna was trying to like just take more Soma. Like she has already bought into the system. I felt even Leanna was a sex worker. Like her and her roommate, and they were just like
the way they talk about it, right?
Yeah,
Like, and they're talking about like, oh yeah, basically like kind of bed hopping and
yeah, as a sport, and I'm all like,
right. And I mean, I could see that there's something freeing about not being judged about having sexuality, right? Because definitely, if that was women would have a stigma if they were sleeping with people as much as they are in this society set in the book. In Brave New World, women would definitely like it's a totally different concept for that time period, because even now if I feel like women still get judged by how many partners they've had and if they're in a committed relationship or not. So I think it's very interesting to see that come out of things, and it's a little liberating because it's like, oh well, there's not a stigma to sex. But then it goes like totally past that. It goes totally past like we're all human and sexuality is normal to like, hey, it's just like another day, and just like, some people go do yoga and other people go have sex. Like that's like
a Monday.
I know. Just like, so I could see like the side of it being like, oh wow, like society has progressed and like women are not being totally sexualized. They can be in charge of their own sexuality, but it goes way farther than that in the book. Like that's where I was like trying to be like, oh, there's little grains of hope in here, but then it's like really it goes so far beyond that it's depressing. And when Bernard talks about things, it sounds depressing. And I think that Bernard is the only person who really understands the gravity of how heavy things are. Like, I think everybody else is so drugged out and so caught up in whatever, the way they've been raised at the hatcheries and everything and developed.
I think
that they're not questioning it.
I think Bernard he's just only at the scale. I think John really understood the grasp. John is the true victim.
He is, because he got pulled straight out of the only world he knew into like civilized, quote unquote, London, England, and treated like a circus act. Like he was treated like he was coming to town and come see the, like the bearded lady, but it's John the Savage, which it's a horrible name. And I feel like he was so disillusioned with everything. Like he was excited to find education, right? He was excited to read books. But those things, when he realizes he wasn't given those things because of his DNA and how he was like born not in a hatchery, but naturally. Yeah. So I feel like when John ends up recognizing that he didn't have access to all of these things because he was considered lesser than, because he was conceived and born naturally and not out of a hatchery.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is when Leanna and Bernard meets the mom, Linda.
Mm-hmm. Linda, yep.
Like you could feel it, how they find her disgusting. And let alone John to be disgusting because
they're revolting. Yeah. Yes.
And I'm all like, Linda maybe 10, maybe 15 years older than the two of them or something. It's just, oh my gosh. It just seemed like Linda was this lower class woman or lower caste woman, maybe a gamma, that got taken advantage by an upper class person, which she had sex with a controller. like a
Right.
controller, and then got left at the Savage Lands. And she was able to experience more life in the Americas or in New Mexico in per se, and got addicted to mezcal or tequila, which I'm just kind of like,
right.
okay, ladies. But the thing when they first see this lady, they're just like disgusted of this lady's fat. She's old and wrinkly. You know, she has tan skin.
Right. She's natural looking, but they
she's
can't
natural
understand
looking.
that.
They're just like, they're so mind blown away. Like, I'm just kind of like, when they take the two of them to England or London, and the children of the times, it's just like, just staring at this, you know, woman who has naturally aged. It's so weird that just like this society poo-poos on aging, period. Like, it's
Right.
kind of sad.
Which I wonder more so, because how do the people look that are aging that aren't, that like are in the society that are?
I think they're like forever 21 or something.
Do you think so?
Because like they don't describe the other
No.
people, because I'm all like, what if it is like Soylent Green? They, by a certain age, they get cut. You know, it's over. You're going to the pastures.
You don't see older characters in the
Besides
rest
the
of the book.
controllers.
Yes.
I think besides controllers, yeah.
Just the controllers, which are men, and but you do not see other older women.
Yeah.
And so for her to be painted in such a light of like disgust, it reminds me of a lot of, you know, society now. And like in the 90s, I just like saw a video I shared that was talking about how in the 2000s, like with Britney Spears and Jessica Simpson and everything like that, people called them fat.
Yeah.
And I would give anything to look like either of them right now.
Like,
but
they're not
they
fat.
were like, they were healthy, but they were demonized for like maybe having a little bit of a muffin top or not even anything. Like,
I'm all like, a little bit of skin. Like, it's, you're wearing the tightest pants a size 0 or maybe a -0. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like, the little fat that you have, it's crazy. It is crazy.
and the way they, like, the one person that they called out, I think one of them was Jessica Simpson, and they basically, she was a size 6 when they were saying that she was overweight. And I'm like, girl, I was a size 6. That was a long time ago. It's been a long time. I just don't think that, you know, that when you look at them and go, oh my gosh, that's kind of shocking how it was before. Like, but I still think that there is still this like beauty. And right now with like Ozempic and celebrities using Ozempic to get their goal weights and everything, I think vanity is still there.
Vanity is still ruling everybody, like across the board till today. Like, people still in their 60s, 70s try to want to look 40 or still look younger. People in their 30s trying to look like they're in their 20s, and so on and so forth. Like, vanity in Brave New World, if the society, since it seems like society doesn't age, I really hope people are just going to plastic surgeons in this world. People live longer lives, you know, with their Soma and stuff, and just go get surgery done and have Korean skincare or something, you know.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I grew out my hair, and it's like silver and salt and pepper, because I was tired of society saying you shouldn't age. And it's like, I think aging is a privilege. So, you know, but obviously in my Brave New World, it's looked down on. So,
which, oh my gosh. Oh, and also like the seed of synthetic clothing. This is why I just wanted to knock, was about like, they were talking about lycra and polyester. And I'm pretty sure back then, the new textiles of polyester was very expensive back then. But, you know, now we have, of today, we're like, cotton. We want organic cotton. If we want silk, it has to be real silk. All this stuff. We don't want to have polyester because of microplastics and all this stuff that's messed
it's not
up.
Breathable. And it is a different, it's definitely shows the time of when it was written, that like those new new fancy materials where,
Yeah.
but I also think that that's kind of the way sometimes it is. The newest thing is the best thing, and then no one has had chance to like actually research it to see if it is the best thing.
Yeah.
It's like when with like sweet and low and all the different sugars that they say like substitutes and stuff, and you're like, which one is the best? Which one actually kills mice? I don't know,
Yeah.
but it has to be, you just have to, it's always going to be something latest and greatest, and we have to kind of find a way to like look beyond the cool new stuff and
Yeah.
actually see like what do people really want and what is quality. And
Yeah.
in this book, polyester's quality, but
Yeah, but
nowadays
I'm all
that
thinking
would
like,
not
yeah,
be.
I know. The thing that I was like, they were kind of like, oh, if there's a hole in your shirt, throw it out. You can get a new shirt,
Oh,
not mending
very
it.
much
And
so.
I'm just like thinking
Yeah.
like, if our author fast forward 100 years because we have like fast fashion waste and it's a problem,
Right.
I'm just like thinking like, he would be so shocked, like this is a problem.
Well, in fast fashion, like you said, it poisons like communities, the
Yeah,
inks and the anything that's like left over, and also just the amount of leftover
waste
material that
materials.
never
Yeah,
gets got that and things that never get bought, like when they make a Super Bowl shirt for the team that doesn't win because they have to
yeah,
have them out printed anyways. So then, what are we going to do with all these ones for the team that lost?
yeah,
And it's just like dumped places,
yeah,
and you
uh,
know
yeah,
landfills are full of this crap. So it's interesting that they say like this is what you should do. You should just get rid of everything. Everything's disposable.
yeah.
But that's what we've done as a society, and
It just says to me
it's
like nothing is valuable in that in Brave New
yeah,
World
that's true.
society. The individual is not valuable. Your shit is not valuable. Like there's you're on Soma. Only Soma's valuable. Like it just sounds. That's the only thing. But it's
Right.
like nothing is really valuable. It could be thrown away. Just like the individuals, these people in the society can be easily thrown away, which is kind of like, geez, like no respect for the human experience type of deal.
Right. And I mean, when we talk about Soma too, like it's self-medicating, right?
Yeah.
And I think that like as humans, a lot of people do self-medicate, whether it's with, alcohol or food or drugs
Uh huh.
or any of those things. But I also think that the self-medication also comes from sex because it's so prevalent in and so casual in the book that I think that people are numbing themselves with sex too.
Instead of alcohol, because it seems
Yeah.
like alcohol is
No, there's
gone.
no alcohol listed. Like the
Yeah.
alcohol is not a thing. Soma is the drug of choice and it's provided by the government. So not only are you like created by the government and then you're hatched and raised by the government, until you're an adult at 6 years old, bizarre.
Yeah.
But then they control you with the drug too.
Yeah.
Um, it's really frightening to think about that. But I think that I don't know if they never get to the bottom of why the controller is doing that though.
I think they did talk about like they were trying to do population control of that.
Right.
The only thing that how I saw towards the end when John the Savage confronts the controller, like, why don't you let us study more
Right.
innovations? There's no, in this society,
No
innovation goes to
innovation
die. Like,
and no transformation
mission,
either.
yeah.
Like it's no, yeah,
Everything's a
everything is
status quo, and
mhm.
I'm just kind of like, okay, there's no imagination. Like, if you want to be a writer, you're not going to be able to be a writer. If you're going to be a writer, you're just going to make mediocre material. You're not going to make Shakespeare material,
Or propaganda for the government kind of
Yeah.
stuff, right? I think that part of the reason why they go and check out the reservation is to like find out like why they're so much more civilized. And it feels so opposite. It's like when
Uh-huh.
if you've read have you read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley?
Yes, I have read that.
So like it's always the question is who's the real monster in that
It's
story, right?
Frankenstein is the monster.
Well, it's the doctor who
Yeah,
makes Frankenstein,
yeah, it's
right?
not
Dr. Frankenstein. It's
it's
not the
Doctor
monster.
yeah, it's not the monster.
Yeah,
It's Frankenstein. The
right.
doctor is the monster.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I took a step further of that book.
Mhm.
This is a spoiler. The author of the book, she did mention that she identified as the monster because her dad hated her so much because he couldn't manage to have a daughter. He wanted a son so badly, and he isolated her, and that's why she wrote this book. And it's so sad because it's like you can't appreciate this person, like this person that can go
That
amidst
is
more
your
heights.
creation.
Yeah, your
right?
creation. The
Yeah.
potential of this person to be even more than yourself.
Well, she ended up becoming like one of the first female writers.
Yeah,
I mean, she obviously
she
used
paved the
a
way.
pseudonym and
Yeah.
everything for a long time, but yeah, so like she ended up changing a lot of literary
Yeah.
and the world. And I mean, there's still different versions of Frankenstein out there and stuff.
Yeah.
I want to see that Bride movie. I haven't seen it yet, but you know, I, and I think that that's like kind of interesting because the parallel with this is like they think the savages are the people that are living naturally,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
but I think that the way they're living is like sacrilegious, kind of like,
Yeah.
it's not natural. I mean, it's interesting. Like the year I was born was the year that like the first test tube baby was born. It's in my baby book. And I was like,
Really?
well, okay. I guess that was a big deal back then. Nowadays, I'm like, okay, like,
Okay, sure. Whatever.
cool, whatever helps people. But I think there's so much to be thought of with this where they're just trying to contain everything to be status quo, like you were saying, that
Yeah.
it originality is gone. You can't be born like a beta and become an alpha. That's not going to happen.
You're already predetermined, which is yeah. And I guess like this is why you don't have excellency in this society. John could have been the excellent one, right? He had all these
He would have been the outlier, right?
Yeah.
Because he had a different perspective and he actually wasn't created.
Yeah.
So he could have been someone who changed things, right? And challenged the system.
Yeah.
Wait, when I was reading the book, I was like, go, John, like this is going to happen. You're going to make a difference. You're going to break the mold. And then he gives up and I was like shattered by that.
I did not like how it ended. Like he decided to give up, which at the same time I'm all like thinking like everyone is against you. Your two friends that you only know, your mom died. Obviously you're on the low already. You're not going to take Soma because
and that's the only person that he knew was his mom. Like, yeah.
Intimately, because it's his mom. The two people
Right.
that brought you here are kind of just like I'm
using
not
you like a sideshow.
Yeah. And I'm not entirely sure if Liana felt bad. You know what I mean? Like
she didn't seem very heartfelt. It didn't like she would say like that she felt embarrassed for him.
Yeah.
But that's not feeling bad for someone.
Yeah. There's no empathy from her. Even though you want her to have empathy, I think Bernard is the one. Even though Bernard was kind of like, he's a grown man, he could take care of himself, even though I'm all like, you moved him out of his situation that's familiar, that he
was safe for him.
Yeah. That he doesn't know what's, your society is about. It's like overnight, and it's unfortunate because like you would think like John in the outcome would be like more gusto about I want change, but it's like how many times can you get no's to you and like to feel defeated to just decide to unalive yourself because you're so exhausted by people's bullshit, and also people are watching you as the spectator. You're now the animal in the zoo and they're just laughing at you and throwing beans and cabbages to provoke you. It's
right. And I think that also touches on like how we do have an epidemic of, mental health concerns and young people with facing all of these kind of really heavy ideas like taking your life and those kind of things. And so I think that the book it does point out, like, if there is no, I don't know, if you can't change things, that some people will give up and some people will go to the extreme. And I think that that depravity is kind of what our society has deals with some of the like teenagers and stuff like that, where they don't see anything that is worth it, and they don't see beyond social media and beyond everything that they think is real.
Yeah.
When those expectations are not real. It's just social media and, us taking pictures of ourselves. But
it's just more prevalent. That's because it's in the media. I'm pretty sure mental health back then, like, people were still unaliving themselves regarding before.
But I feel like
it's
this
more
was very
open
edgy
to
talk about it too.
Yeah.
Like, for this to be even talking about that with a main character, that would have been unheard of at the time, because people didn't want to talk about that. They didn't want to, want to gloss over things and not talk about stuff that's hard. But I do think that that is an interesting point with this. It's like, it might have been the first time that someone who was having maybe depression or something like that read about a character where you're like, oh, and like, but then that worries me as a parent. Like, my kid gonna read this and like think like, oh, well, John couldn't make it. Like, so
what do you think my kid's gonna make it? Yeah, type of deal.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of, it is definitely a very solemn and depressing ending to the book, because it's just basically like, all right, everything is ho-hum, and that's the end, and nothing's going to change. And you're like, oh, okay. Which is interesting also because, like, as far as character development goes, do you think that like Liana or Bernard, that they developed as people, and did they evolve anymore or anything in the storyline?
I was going to ask you the question, like, okay, after when John offs himself, do you think the next day they'll just have brunch together? Like, that's what, I don't think there was any character development. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the character development was John.
Yeah.
That was the character archy of like what happened to someone. But I don't think that the other characters, which are actually main characters, I don't think they changed at all.
Yeah.
And that's not something you would learn in a creative writing class anymore. But because people are looking for, shifts and growth. And I think that's why when I finished the book, I was like, you have to read it, and then you're going to be mad. You were like,
yeah. Because you
text me and you were like, this book sucked.
Yeah, I was so upset about the book of how it ended. I'm like, what did I read? This is bullshit. Like, I was just kind of like, what the F? Yeah, I was not.
I mean, I don't have to read a happy ending. Like, I'm all for like something a little more realistic.
Yeah.
But
it was just so harsh. It was
so harsh.
Yeah.
And I'm so not in the headspace for that right now, so it really hits hard. I was just like, oh man, things don't change in that society. And that's, I think that the only way it would change is if John had pushed further, and but he was thrown into a situation that he didn't even know how to navigate it.
I don't think like John by nature was a violent person. Like, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
he wasn't a could person.
I'm pretty sure he could have taken the controller down, and just made this new world or whatever, but he's not a violent person. And so therefore the continuation of the controllers and all this stuff continues on, and this world that they have, because I guess John is like Christ-like and be like, you know what? I've said my stuff. I try to advocate for free thinking and nobody gives a shit. And I'm just going to.
Yeah, he was like, he was the martyr in the story. Yeah. And not because he was trying to like be the martyr, just because he just couldn't exist in a society that was so far away from the way he grew up. And I could see that, because the difference between how he grew up and how like the rest of the Brave New World was, it's
It's a huge contrast.
It would be like being just thrown into like total upside down, like, Stranger Things. Like
Yeah.
I know, like, you see that and go, oh, that's all like sci-fi and monsters and stuff, but it like that's how drastically different this world is for him when he's pulled into it. And
Yeah.
he didn't want to go. Like, they took him.
Yeah.
They
His
didn't,
mom wanted to go home, period. Like,
she
she's
wanted to go
tired,
home. Yeah,
tired of the
because she didn't.
Moscow.
Yeah, she didn't want to, because she's not originally from New Mexico. She's
Mexico,
originally
yeah.
from, London, England. And so she wanted to go back, and she wanted her son to be able to go back. But then, like, I feel like it was all selfish reasons that they all brought him there. There was
Yeah.
nothing valuable to him.
Well, even in their home in New Mexico, it just sounded like he didn't get along with the kids.
That's true. He was an outsider there, too.
Yeah, he was already an outsider. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. He was John the Savage or John the Smart. He outlier for sure, and that sucks. Like, there was no way he was going to find community anywhere.
And I wonder if, like, when we look at information about the author, we do see that Huxley, his mom passed away of cancer.
Yes.
When he was only like 14 years old. And obviously that's going to affect a kid.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if, like, that's why he was able to write something so heavy with such a morbid ending or something like that, because, like, his perception of things was skewed because, he had that tragedy so young in his life.
And also, like, his brother killed himself too. So, like, about 20 years before the book. So his brother died at 1914. And sibling relationship, if you're very close and if the other leaves, it's really heartbreaking. You know what I mean? It's like it's hard. Like, and I think maybe it's like so easy for him to talk about it because he's already processed it and like
he lived that. So to him, that the grief was a part of life.
Yeah.
But for the time, it was it's still, even now, it's still pretty groundbreaking to be talking about some of that, where if you could talk about loss and how, being vulnerable is, and all those kind of things, those are things that we try to get into as a society, and we try to, like, talk more about and learn more about cultures and life and everything else. But I still think that we still sugarcoat a lot of stuff, and we don't want to talk about the heavy things all the time.
Yeah.
So it is definitely, if you're going to read it, besties, it's not a fun read. It's not a fun read. It was challenging, but for me, I have been seeing quotes of it and out in places and stuff, and I'm like, well, I never read that, so I wanted to take that time and dig in. But it's not a happy storybook at all.
So a little bit more about Aldous Huxley. He was born in July 26, 1894 in England, in Golding Survey, England. He was born into
that's a mouthful.
I know, right? Well, like, he was born into a very highly educated and rich family, so a very influential
like
family.
The main characters in the book, right?
Yeah. And he passed away in November 22nd, 1963 in Los Angeles, California. So here in
in SoCal.
SoCal. He went to school, obviously, Oxford, all that stuff. As we know, a lot of these authors of that time were raised to be. But I was wondering why he wrote this book. Like, because I'm all like, this book is so obscene, almost like pornographic, right? There was a piece of me was thinking, like, if I'm not entirely sure of the life of this book, it was introduced into reading, high school reading, even for a British lit class or anything.
It had to be college level, I think.
It definitely has to be college level, because I do not know the maturity, or maybe back then children of that time were more mature and now we're just not mature kids are more
Well,
able to be more kids, you know?
right. And I can see that as like, as a society, a lot of times people had to grow up and like get jobs very young and support their family, right out the gate. Kids were born to help, with a farm, to be a
Yeah.
farmhand. They weren't born to like for your bloodline really necessarily. So I
Yeah.
think that it's a different mindset for sure. Kids were a lot more adult and had adult responsibilities. And so that is something that's an interesting takeaway. But the other stuff that's so heavy and negative, it's not. It's just so far outside of the realm of normal that I can't even grasp those ideas at all.
Also, this was response to H.G. Wells's optimism about utopian novels or utopian societies.
Oh,
He was doing a counter culture
which is
writing.
interesting because that's the thing about a lot of like utopian sci-fi is that it's supposed to be a positive thing.
Yeah. So he wanted to create this like nightmare version of the modern society. And so making it very unstable and not comfortable versus getting like freedom and truth. Also, he wanted to hint out the Ford model of mass production and also the assembly
Right.
line and technology and consumerism. And he was just so shocked by that. Like the culture is changing to becoming this.
And he recognized it when it was happening because all
Yeah.
of, like Ford factories and all that kind of stuff was just happening at that time. It was still relatively newer, like the Industrial Revolution. This is a time when all of that kind of shift was happening, where children weren't working in factories anymore, and as a society, things were changing.
Yeah.
So that definitely could lend to some ideas he discusses in the book.
Even though he
Um,
was a pacifist, he was a very passive person. But
right.
maybe that's like the creativity, the creative mind, you know? He even though he's an accomplished writer, author, he was also a philosopher. So, you
Right.
know,
He was interested in mysticism and pacifism, and he even did psychedelics, it says, at some point, which I guess in the 60s was probably not that weird, but
or back then cuz like I think what LSD was
mhm,
discovered in 1940s or something. It wasn't the rise of LSD in 1960s a little bit, but like the creation of it was a little bit more earlier. Maybe he did get his trip, you know, like
right.
who knows.
Yeah.
Do you have any pop culture references to this book?
Well, I think that from the book, like I said, I really do think that it does relate to some of the things that are happening right now.
Yeah.
And I think that even just the discussions of fertility and with what's happening right now in women's health rights
Uh-huh.
and everything in the United States, um, those kind of ideas are still out there. Like, who's really in control of the bodies, right?
Yeah.
And then also, if you've read or seen any of the Handmaid's Tale,
Uh-huh.
the that has a lot of undertones of the
Brave New
same kind
World.
of fertility, Brave New World. Yeah, like they created a new way of living to create people to like help make sure that the population still grew, but also they like took away all of these things to make things quote unquote pure, which is kind of the opposite of Brave New World in that way.
Yeah.
Because Brave New World, there's no talk of religion,
Yeah. There's
and
no
and
religion. There's nothing of the
and
traditional.
the morals aren't there. And so I think that is when I look at this story in comparison to like Handmaid's Tale, like there are common things
Uh-huh.
discussed, and Handmaid's Tale I think was written in the 80s, but
Yes. 80s,
so,
late 70s, early 80s, I believe.
yeah, so they I do think that this is still a hot topic, and it's still, female health, fertility, population growth. Those are all things that are really prevalent still. I mean, the president's talking about giving more money to people who have when they have another
A
kid, like
child,
there's
yeah.
a baby bonus. And so that I do see the parallel of government currently and fertility and women's health,
Yeah.
that involvement. It's not, I think before, if I read this before what was happening right now, I would have been like, oh, that's so foreign, and the government wouldn't get involved in that stuff. And now I'm like, well, I don't know. And, I also think that the blasé fairness of the characters
Uh-huh.
reminds me of social media a lot in some ways, right? Where it's like, it's just supposed to be like, this is how we present ourselves and this is it. And there's no consciousness of like how that is changing people or if it's wrong or right. It's just, this is what you see and what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And no questioning of regulation
Yeah.
or pushing to change things at all.
So the pop culture references, I could see like a lot of authors, a lot of creators who have read this book implemented in their creative lives or into their works, I meant. So like the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown,
You were
he
telling me about
talks
that.
about the caste system. The Hatcheries are literally the caste system that was built into that society in the Red Rising
Right.
books. In Westworld with Aaron Paul, you see, there's a scene like the season where he was in, you see him taking these pills to like mood stabilizers or like that little contact thing to like control his moods and stuff. And it was kind of funny, like you can have an app to change the mood, like to heighten or whatever. But that's
Right.
equivalent to Soma, like what they were just doing. And it's very interesting to see that people's work isn't like, authors, creators, creative people find inspiration by older authors. Like everything's always recycled, everything's always
Right.
like shared again to be renewed or something. And I really
Nothing's completely original, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
And I kind of like that a lot. Like it's an homage to whatever. So many pop culture references. If besties, if you read the book, that you're just gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is where blah 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 got this from. So that was kind of
Right.
nice.
And even like when we talk about other films and sci-fi things, there's a lot of it is borrowed from that timeline. I even think Blade Runner has some things in it that are pretty similar to the system, the caste system, and like how people are,
Yeah.
basically they're put into society and have to stay their path.
I think Blade
and get a
Runner was
Mhm.
more like Fahrenheit 451. Like to me,
Yeah,
how that world building was more on that line, which
that's
I'm
true.
just like,
Yeah.
so. But yeah,
And that's a great book to read too. But yeah, I think that this one is definitely, it challenges a lot of social and just moral compasses, but it also is something that is, like we said, still relevant, and people are still asking these questions and trying to find ways to become the ultimate society.
yeah. So okay, question:
Mhm.
could you or would you want to live in that world?
I don't think I would want to live in that world. It doesn't sound pleasant at all. It
Yeah.
sounds really boring and monotonous. And I like to create things and I like to challenge things too. I like to be able to like, question stuff, and I play devil's advocate a lot in conversations with people. And so I think that even though women did have a little higher stature, I still don't think that the way I think about things and question things, I don't think it would be acceptable in the Brave New World. What do you
Yeah.
think? Do you think that you would want to live in that time and you would be able to do it?
There's a bit of me that's like, I'm a very compliant person that I wouldn't mind living in this world. But the question is like, our totality of the human experience, like, what is it that you're living for? Like what makes you feel
Right.
alive? In that world, I couldn't be able to live in that world knowing that everything's dampened down, and I wouldn't
Right.
be able to live authentically myself.
Yeah. And I think that authenticity is such a big part of the human experience.
Yeah.
And so if we're all just kind of drones, then
So
what's
what
the
is
point,
there?
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, do you agree that this book should be banned in high school for high school reading?
I mean, I think it's pretty heavy for high school. I think that if someone wants to read it, then they probably maybe parents should like talk to their parents and have their parents talk to the school or something. But I don't think it's something where I would normally hand it out to all high schoolers.
Like,
If
here,
that,
you read this.
right. Like I remember some of the books that I read in high school, and I remember some in junior high, and like
Uh-huh.
subject matters could be heavy, like Roar of Thunder, Hear My Cry. That
Uh-huh.
was about a family during slavery times. And so there we did dig into some heavier things in subject matter, but this is such a that I don't think it's really appropriate for.
I agree too, unless this 6-year-old kid, really is insistent and has the
Right.
maturity level of
Yeah,
it.
if they have the maturity level and their parents are okay with it and understand the subject matter, then I just don't think that they should be sent off with the book and read it and
Yeah,
they should
like this.
have some guidance around it a little bit.
Yeah, I think if you are a high school kid and you're trying to cheat on a book report right now and you're listening to the podcast for this, join a book club to talk about this book, right?
Yeah, that's a
Like,
good idea, right?
please, this book is not something you can to internalize yourself, because it's like this is a book desperately made for discussion. This is not a book where you're just like, this is good. This is not like
it's
yeah.
not a Sunday tea book
Yeah.
at all. This is definitely something where, yeah, if you're part of a book club or you have some friends who are going to read together like we do, or but you shouldn't be doing it by yourself because it's such a
It's hard
heavy
topics. Yeah, it's very heavy.
yeah. And I
So
think it's still relevant now. Like I still think, like, I'm not disappointed that I read it.
yeah,
I think that I would still recommend people to read it. I just would definitely say if you're going to read it, you have to know it's going to be heavy and take breaks if you need to, because it's a quick read, but
yeah, it's fairly
it's
quick.
so
Yeah.
it's so heavy though that if you binge it, it's a lot to digest at once. At least it was for me. What do you think? Do you think people should read it now, Jen?
Okay, so on context, I was reading before this book that you recommended. I was reading the
Mhm.
book by Brother Karamazov, and it's the counter book to this book.
No.
This book that, God, it's like, it is the size of War and Peace. This is a
Oh,
Russian
wow.
literature book in the 1800s, right?
Hmm.
And it's about religion and, and justice and whatever. To read, it is the counterbalance to this book, Brave New World, that I wasn't expecting Brave New World to be like this. I was expecting Brave New World to be like Fahrenheit 451.
Right, to have some sort of like altruistic
Yeah.
ending to it. Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, yes, I think people should read this book. I think you should read this book in a mindset of scholarly thought, because like in a sense, like this book was published in the 1930s, really radical thinking of this world building, like way more than sci-fi. It's just kind of like, if you're going to talk about creativity, world building, yes, this book is really good. If you feel like you want to dig into heavy concepts for that weekend read, yeah, sure. But I
make sure you go to coffee with a friend afterwards or something.
If you finish the book, put on a comedy. It might, because it's the ending's so abrupt. You're just kind of like, what the hell?
I was not expecting, like, I listened to it on audiobook and when it ended, I was like, well, that's not the end. And I was like looking for the next chapter.
Yeah,
and I'm
you're like, what is this?
Oh, that was really the end. That was like, it wouldn't just end like that, but it felt like almost like when you watch a show, I don't know, back in the 80s or something, and it would be like a cliffhanger, literally like a
Yeah.
to be continued. And you're like, have to wait a whole nother after the summer, the next season, you're gonna see what happened. And that's why I felt it ended so quickly. I was like, there's gotta be more, but there wasn't,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh my gosh. All right. All right, besties. That was our book review for A Brave New World. I hope you liked it.
And if you have any kind of books that you want us to read, let us know because we'd love to read books with you. So let's join the Life Generally book club.
Yes. All right. So, Jen, tell us about wedding planning. How's that going?
Wedding planning is going well. We have been looking at tablecloths that we were gifted tablecloths by my college roomie,
Oh, that's
and
nice.
yeah, she gave us all of hers from her wedding last year. So we're looking at those because we got to rent tables and chairs, so we need to know how many and what the sizes are.
Uh-huh.
So things are going to be kind of based off of what we have
Yeah.
because I mean, why spend money on something we don't need to spend money on? I don't need to
Yeah.
purchase it then. And maybe one day I'll pass it on to someone else who wants tablecloths because we're about sustainability, right? We're
Yes.
not going to be like Brave New World and
And
just
be
throw everything
wasteful.
out. Exactly. So that's what we're doing right now, going through our little basically like tubs of them to figure out how many we have and what sizes they are, so that way we can order the furniture for it,
Nice.
the rentals. How about you? How's the job hunt going?
It's defeating right now, so
No.
I'm trying to
You're like,
figure.
this is the book I should not be reading right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. This is
And
the
thanks a
book.
lot.
Yeah. If you're depressed, this is not the book to read.
No, it's not.
It's just a little bit defeating. Like I feel like my prospects, there's none right now, but I really hope that something turns for the best for
Yeah.
me, and just trying to stay positive, like positive mindset, just to create positivity, because I could be a negative Nancy real fast,
And it's understandable. It's okay to be, down and frustrated because it's a really hard process right now to get a job. And especially when you've been a person who could just like land a job real quick and in the, so it's just a total shift as far as the
the market is,
jobs are and the
yeah.
market is right now. So but you got this, and you know, you can
Like,
honor your feelings but also still try to make sure that you stay positive.
thank
um
you.
and besties, if you have a job out there for Jen, please let us know because she is an awesome UX designer and more. So you can reach us. You could email Jen directly at lifegenerally@gmail.com, and that's life generally with a J at gmail.com. Or you could slip into our DMs, and that's at Instagram, life.generally with a J. And if you've got job ideas, job hunt, anything, you have feedback about a book you want us to read, reach out because we would love to hear from you.
And besties, if you like what you hear and want to support us, please follow and subscribe and share the podcast with your friends and family. This helps grows our audience and grows our content as well. Lastly, if you want to support us financially, which deeply appreciated, you can always go to buymecoffee.com/lifegenerally, life generally all in one word, spelled with a J, to donate some money to the podcast. I will be forever grateful. Jen as well will be forever grateful. And
We
also,
appreciate anything.
yes. And lastly, we do have a Facebook page. So that is Life Generally on Facebook that you can find us. And please follow us on Facebook as well. So, besties, just to let you know that the podcast is always going to be posted on Thursday nights between 9 to 12. However, on Fridays, to start your Fridays, it will be there ready for you to listen.
Right, as early as you get up on Friday, it's going to be there. So just know that you can go to work or start your day off with Life Generally on every Friday.
So, Jen, do you have any last words for our besties?
My last words would be, I think it would be question medicine sometimes. I feel like the Soma in the story can relate to so many things nowadays. So if something sounds too good to be true, it might be. What about you, Jen? Any last words?
Orgy, porgy, give release.
Gross.
I can barely imagine someone made a song out of that, like a real trance version song of that.
I don't even.
I can't even. I can't even.
Nope.
But yeah, those are my last words.
Well, with that, I guess we'll say Jen
Jen
squared.
squared out.